5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's the new Panic Room. It's the show other shows want to be, and the show that authors want to be on.
Oh, the shark, babe, has such teeth there, and it shows them pearly white. Just a jackknife has old Maggie, babe, and it keeps it out of sight. You know when that shark bites with its teeth, babe, scarlet billows start to spread. Fancy gloves, though, wears old Maggie, babe, so there's never a trace of red. Now on the sidewalk, ooh, Sunday morning, lies a body just oozing life. And someone sneaking round the corner. Could that someone be Mac the Knife? There's a tugboat down by the river, don't you know, where a cement bag just drooping on down. Oh, that cement is just, it's there for the weight to dare. 5 will get you 10 old Mackies back in town. Got to hear about Louis Miller. He disappeared, babe, after drawing out all his hard-earned cash. And now Maggie's been just like a sailor. Could it be our boy's done something rash? Now take a diver, yeah, to his tawdry. Ooh, Miss Lottie Lenya and old Lucy Brown. Oh, the line forms on the right, babe. Now that Maggie's back in town. I said, Jenny Diver, whoa, Susie Tawdry, look out to Miss Lottie Lenya and old Lucy Brown. If that line forms on the right, babe, now that Maggie's back in town. Look out, old Maggie is back.
The all-new Panic Room radio show is brought to you by hellboundbooks.com.
Good evening, 88. It's Thursday again. Can you believe it? It is the new Panic Room 165. Seriously, we've been doing this for and no, we're still doing it. Why? One can only begin to question our sanity. I think it was still. And people still come on the show. That's what gets me. And again, talk about questioning sanity. You know, it's a little bit of tea going on here, which is all rather jolly. But do you know, it wouldn't be literally be a show without the old friend Xtina, and it wouldn't be the show without her little entree.
Come on, I'm with you.
see. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. It cheers me up every week. It's on every. I have to play it every week because it's just.
I know,
isn't it?
Yeah. No,
so how are you? How are you? You know, we say it every week. I cannot believe it was only a week ago that we were doing the same old nonsense, and here we are.
Yeah. This week has gone by crazy.
Going crazy. And of course, it's Thanksgiving week next week, which means, yay, the kids are home. Oh no! So I have to deal with. Plus, we have one extra next week as well because my daughter's friend from us is coming down for the week. So
how fun!
Two 10-year-old girls in the house. What could possibly go wrong, eh?
Yeah, this is, I believe this will be my first Thanksgiving without my oldest, and you know, she's got her own life, and you know, she keeps telling me that she can't get off on the holidays. You know, I'm not allowed to ask for it off. Well, the place you work isn't open on Thanksgiving. So, you know, you can come, but still, whatever. She's got her own life and she's living it. Yeah. And so I'm gonna cry into my turkey, I think.
Oh, bless. Yeah.
I know.
In fact, speaking of turkey, just had ours delivered. You can't get a small turkey. Can't get one. I got the smallest I could, and it's still this huge, fucking great big. Yes. How? You know, we'll be just about finishing off in time for Christmas. You know, it's like, fucking turkey again. You know, I don't mind a bit of turkey, but you know, not for 3 weeks. To be honest,
I'm not even a huge fan of turkey to begin with at all. But it's like that's what you have to have for Thanksgiving. Yeah. So you know, and you're right. You know, you get the smallest turkey because there's 3 of us. Just 3 of us and. Mm-hmm. You know, but still, the turkey's huge, and we'll be eating turkey and sandwiches, and you know, however you want to do them, and until probably the New Year. Yeah.
I think last year, I mean, we went through. We had sandwiches, we had it warmed up in bed with cream, and actually turkey burger as well. Actually, turkey burger. It was nice, but. It's like you get sick of it after a while, but Christmas we're having beef pot roast for Christmas dinner because in England, you see, you don't do Thanksgiving. You know, the whole traditionally, you know, turkey and ham and all that is Christmas. So here, the big sort of Thanksgiving food-wise is the big one, whereas Christmas seems to be a little more low-key here. I'm not. There's no way I'm going to have to and then have another turkey at Christmas. No, I just no. Once a year.
Ham.
Once a year is enough. Ham's nice, but
ham.
I think it's quite a while ago now because I get my groceries delivered by HEB, and they screwed up and brought me part of somebody else as well. You know, being the law-abiding citizen that I am, I said nothing. So we ended up with this fucking great, like a $15 chunk of, beef pot roast. So I stuck that in the freezer. So that's Christmas dinner. So it's going to be free Christmas dinner. So that's nice. Put it in the slow cooker, to stay, and the jobs are good. And so there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You see, I have absolutely no morals, and I've said this before. I've said it to many people. It has been said. I have no morals whatsoever. Nothing. Not even a bit. I don't think. Oh, somebody's gone without the pot roast, and I couldn't care less. But it's funny. I got my groceries delivered tonight, and there's a few things missing, and I played holy fucking hell with them. I'm straight on the phone. Where's my shampoo? Yeah. Where's my shampoo, you bastards? How dare you? You know, and then they send you a little follow-up thing to, as a satisfaction service. So I gave them a stinking review on that as well. So it's just like...
No, I'm excited. After the Thanksgiving dinner, I am the tree. I cannot wait to put up the Christmas tree. I'm so excited.
No, shut it! No.
I actually had one of those
Christmas.
memories on Facebook. I had one of those memories on Facebook from like years ago when I actually had my tree up already, and I was like, yes, we need to do it now, but you know, of course not. You know, I have to wait until, you know, Thanksgiving. I guess the day after Thanksgiving is when I'm allowed.
I think traditionally it seems to the weekend after Thanksgiving. I was not going up that. Yeah. No way. No chance. No. They're playing Christmas. It's funny. They're playing Christmas music in my daughter's school bus. She shouts out the window. They're playing Christmas music. I mean,
yes.
Oh God, we went to get a haircut a couple of weeks ago, and in the salon, and they've got Christmas music. Don't. Yeah. No. I'm not having months of blood. I hate Christmas music, as you know. I hate it with a passion. There is one Christmas song, and I will play it on the nearest show to Christmas. There's one Christmas song that I like. The rest are just shite. Absolute, unadulterated crap. All this little drummer boy bullshit. I mean, no. What's that got to do with Christmas? I'll tell you the one I really don't like is the Band-Aid one. Do they know it's Christmas? Going about starving. And, you know, do they know it's Christmas? I mean, starving Africans probably don't care whether it's Christmas, to be honest.
That's true. Yeah, they probably don't.
You know, they've got things on their mind. You know, in Christmas. So you know, it should be. Do they know no food? But it just depresses the shit out of me.
Yeah. It wouldn't be as jolly, you know, without you know.
It's not jolly anyway. I mean, you listen to the lyrics, and it's like, well, no. I mean, it's not a Christmas song at all. Not even a little bit.
No, I've already started a Christmas playlist and everything, so you know I'm excited. I can be excited for both of us and be just as jolly.
I think you're going to have to be honest, because I just no. For me, it's just right. I'm now thinking, I've got to start ordering in the Christmas presents for the kids, and it's like that depresses me as well. You know, I mean, it's funny. I've got two extremes. My boy is like, what do you want for? My daughter, she's got a list longer than my arm already. And in fact, she's been working on a list since the day after her birthday, which was in April. Suddenly, it'll be funny. Christmas, she'll just finished opening all her presents on Christmas Day, and it'll be, it's my birthday. Oh, seriously, girl? Because it's, you know.
Yeah, seriously. You know, it's funny that you say that about your son. Mine is the same way. I've asked him several times now, just give me an idea. Give me a direction to go in, something. And, you know, he's joking, but he tells me he wants hookers and blow. And, you know, as his mom, I won't be giving him
you know what you should do, don't you? You really know. You get him a hooker and some cocaine just to be worth it, just to see the look on face. I would do that. Yeah. It's funny about my to be fair, he said there's nothing I want. Yeah, I don't. He doesn't. He'd probably end up with getting because he's sort of fashion conscious now, and so he likes to buy clothes and that. So he's probably just going to end up with money to buy clothes with.
Yeah.
But But I said I don't want to be that parent. I don't want to be just gives you bungs you some money. But if that's what he wants, then I'd rather do that than buy him crap that he doesn't want. Because he's got everything. And it looks like the PlayStation 5 isn't out until next year, so that'll be next year sorted out. But this year it's just, it's difficult. As we get older, it is difficult, I guess. But, well. Yeah. No one asked me what I want yet, to be honest. Although the hookers and blow is sounding phenomenal. I'm gonna come. If you do that, give me a shout. I'm gonna come and party with your boy. If there's hookers and blow going on, I'll bring a party pack of Corona. And we'll have we'll do it right.
It's always fun. Yeah.
We will do it right. So anywho, hey. So yes, do tell me what have we got coming up on the magnificent show this evening? If anything, I have no idea. Yes. No idea.
Yeah, I'm like really excited because we have two of our very own Hellbound authors on the show tonight. We're going to start the show off with Craig Stewart, and he's one of our first authors. So that is even more exciting that we just
I've been wanting Craig on the show forever. It's taken probably well over 2 years to get to the show. So well done.
I don't know.
Well done. I don't know how he did it, but he probably send the boys around or something, just threaten him, but whatever works.
Right, whatever works.
I tell you, I think I'm giddy. I must admit, I'm giddy. So I think we should. If you'd like to introduce him, we'll bring him on.
Okay. I would, and I'm going to try to do it a little better than, last week when I got yelled at by Brett McCormick for, the lackluster, introduction.
It was pathetic. If you don't mind me saying, it was awful. It really was awful.
For our first guest, we have horror author Craig Stewart. Woo!
Well, good evening, sir.
Hello. You guys have such a big audience there, it sounds like.
The studio here is packed. It's packed.
Yeah.
So, nice to finally get to speak to you after all this time. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm very good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Because Xtina, I mean, to be fair, her intro was better than it was for Brett McCormick last week, but she did forget to mention the filmmaker bit. I mean, seriously, you can't get the staff.
Well.
Cannot get the staff. So, Craig, I said also one of our early signings, which was Worship Me, a great book, and more recently Follow Him, which was not really not a sequel, but a sequel. I mean, it was I guess. I have to say, I love Craig's style. I love your irreverence, and I love your anti-religious stance, because that really speaks to me. So, which one do you want to... Let's talk about the new one. Let's talk about...
Sure, yeah.
I have to, obviously... Sorry, I mean, you very much, say, you sort of anti-religious thing. Is there a specific reason for that, or is it just something that interests you?
Yeah, no. My views on religion are very... it's an extremely personal stance that I've taken, and it's taken me a long time to kind of get to where I am. So my first book, Worship Me, is a book essentially about religion as a monster. And that came to be because when I was a kid, I was actually brought up going to the United Church. Like, we went every Sunday, right? So that was sort of ingrained in me as a kid. All these beliefs, like it's strange to think now. I'm a fairly strict atheist now, but back then I really did think that there was, God and these things, and I would pray at night and really believe somebody was hearing me. And then I went through this long, painful process of losing my faith, which happened for a multitude of reasons, but the two biggest ones were the fact that I came out as gay when I was in university, once I had left my hometown, which obviously has a very sticky situation with religion, complex relationship. But the biggest one was my sister passed away, and when she died, and how she died was really a horrible, obviously, like an unspeakable horror, essentially. Which is why I ended up writing Worship Me as that sort of expression of trying to explore this problem of flesh versus faith, where how can a very bodily person with blood and guts and a brain and all these parts that can get messed up, like, where does spirituality fit into that? And that was basically the genesis of the first book, and that's kind of my how I feel about religion. But in the book itself, I didn't want it to be a book that was totally anti-religious. I wanted it to be a book that really genuinely explored, these what I thought very problematic questions as to how someone could hold on to their faith. Without trying to push people away. Because if I just wrote a book that was just very anti-religious, it's not going to reach the people who I'd want it to reach, which would be, the people who I want to get that message to are the people who, are maybe on the fence about how they feel about it, that sort of thing. And it was interesting because while I was writing the book, sorry, I'm just going on and on, but when I was writing the book, I kind of gained a bit more sympathy for religion because I started to look at it as a sort of like old, out-of-date monster that didn't really know how to relate to the world anymore. So it's incredibly powerful. Like, obviously, religion in the world has an incredible influence, but it's not, it just can't really jive with how the modern world functions, modern morality, all this sort of thing. And so it kind of seems to rampage, and that's the story I ended up writing.
Oh, wow. Well, I like, how, you make religion the monster, I like that's a nice, and obviously, reading the book, it is, your stance it comes through loud and clear, I have to say. I mean, it's very well put, and it's a great story, I have to say. It's not a Michael Moore sort of rant, it's a jolly good story. It's got all the thrills and spills and the blood and guts in it, but the underlying message is there. I mean, it's I like that. I like that very much. In fact, it's I think you mentioned I wrote the short stories actually in my collection.
Oh yes, I love
you
that
read
short
that,
story,
which was I think greatly influenced by Worship Me. I think I maybe took it one step further. We had the whole church made out of the twisted, bloody, naked, contorted bodies of the village, the townspeople.
that was great. Yeah.
Which, I think Worship Me. So again, it's just taking it that, taking it literal. Because at the same time, around the same time as working on Worship Me, I was actually I've been paid to write from a local filmmaker, Christian filmmaker, a screenplay, Christian-based, family-based screenplay, which is, you probably couldn't think of anybody less likely to write such a thing than me. But obviously getting involved, the guy, but he wanted certain messages about the church to come across, and the church is struggling, as you quite rightly say, Craig. Footfall is just dropping off from center. And I think one of the points he put across, the church is about the people, and obviously I then took that literally, and obviously inspired by Worship Me, and that and it's one of my favourite stories. Actually, it's just a great sort of literal story.
Oh yeah, that's the best thing horror can do, right? Is like take these ideas that nobody really wants to hear and then make them like in this kind of like splatterfest literal way that's just so much fun to read. But like the underlying themes like kind of in your face, which is such fun you can do with horror,
You can do so much more with horror because you can step beyond the boundaries of reality. You can, if you want supernatural stuff to happen or whatever, then a demon did it. Or, there's all these. There's so many tools at our disposal.
Totally.
Which is, I think, why I love the genre so much. I write in different genres, and each different genre I write, I've done young adult. In fact, funny if I just ghostwritten a young adult Latter-day Saints novel, believe it or not. Sort of period drama, but I find them all very restricted because I'm writing, especially if I get to it, if there's a gory bit or a violence bit or whatever, and I just want to run with that. You know what I mean? I just want to run with this and because you can't, because you contained within the real world. You have to stay within that, otherwise it just becomes unbelievable. Yeah, but I mean, is horror your first love, Craig? I mean, or do you have other genres? You sort of
horror was it for me. I remember my parents taking me to go see Jurassic Park when I was like 6 years old or something, and just
I feel so old
how
now.
Scared.
So old. I think I was about 94 when that came. Hey, you.
Sorry for bringing up that.
No. I mean, that had a big impact on you, yeah.
Huge impact. Just because that's what I kind of when I fell in love with being frightened, and then I remember for me it was movies really that got me into it. So there was always a forbidden like horror section at the video store, and again like if you're growing up gay in a small town, it's very especially when you're young, that there's something that's slightly different about you, like your interests are slightly different, but you haven't pinpointed it yet, let's say because maybe you haven't hit puberty or you can't admit it to yourself. And the horror genre, it's the genre for the outcast. So that's the one I like went right to, and that's the one I would like to play in for the rest of my life. Like that's all I really want to do.
I like that. I like the genre for the outcast. I mean, you are amongst great company. I mean,
yeah.
And I like.
Oh my God.
I like that
when
we're
you go to
outcast.
horror conventions. Right. Oh, absolutely. When you go to horror conventions, like they are always the nicest people. They're always so thoughtful and like it's just
And they seem so grounded. I think I've said this before on the show before, but that we have all these horror authors on, and we've had every other genre there is too. But it just seems like to me that the horror authors are the nicest ones. They really are. And I think it's because you guys write what you do, and you just kind of get your demons out. Whereas other genres, maybe they keep that darkness inside them. That's my working theory. Because seriously, the horror writers and the more gruesome they are, even the nicer. And you get them on and you start talking to them. You're like, you're really the one who wrote about that the gruesome killing I read on page 43. Seriously, and. So I do think that's what it is. We get out, and it's the same way with anything. I guess that you're right. It's almost like a purging. So I guess it would be the same way for a gruesome horror writer. You get it out, and that way you don't have to like hack up real people, right? I mean,
well, I would agree definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great therapy. Like you say, all that.
Yep.
And I mean, and if somebody's pissed you off, you can kill them in those horrendous ways. In your book, and we've all done that. I'm guilty of that, and there's a little bit of these people in somebody who's got horrifically, eaten by something nasty or what have you. So you could be right, but yeah, the horror people are some of the nicest people you could ever want to meet. Definitely.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely correct. Like it's, we get to pour our angst into a work, and then we turn to the reader and say, "Here, it's your angst now." Like we don't own it anymore, which is such a nice, like,
Yeah, here's your nightmare. Yeah, this is your nightmare now. Because it's one of those things. People. You see the question, why do writers write? And my answer is always because we have to. If I didn't write, I would go insane because the ideas would just stay in my head and swirl around in there and bump into others and fester. But you write them, and you do. Xtina's right. It's a purge. You get them out, and sadly,
Absolutely.
then they're quickly replaced by other ones. But at least they're new ones. The same one going bouncing around and around and around to drive you crazy. But yeah, you do. You then you're giving that then to somebody else, which is I like that.
Now, how often do you see a horror author, no, I'm not even a horror author, it's just an author in general that you might know online or something, say they're going to quit. I'm quitting. I'm not writing anymore. I quit.
Every damn day. And I think pretty much every day I sit and think, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go, I'll push trolleys at Kroger. I really don't want to do this anymore,
Right.
But it's like, I saw one, recently that said, they were quitting, and they were quitting because, they weren't selling any books. And I'm thinking, if that's the reason you're writing, I think you're writing for the wrong reason because, I mean, if it's something in you, like you said, James, why do you write? Well, because there's nothing else that, I have to. Well, and I think it's the same way. So, I mean, if you're writing to sell books, I mean, it's wonderful to sell them. But at the same time, that's not why, in my opinion, why a real writer sits down and writes. They do it because they don't really have a choice, you know. So I can't see that it would be easy just to, well, that's it. I quit. I'm not writing anymore. You know, I mean, I don't know. I just, to me, that's not
I don't think there's many of us do it, you know, to set out. So this is what I'm going to. There are far easier ways of earning a living. Seriously, I could think of a couple of dozen off the top of my head now that are easy. You know, but it's. I don't want to use the word calling and offend Craig.
I like that.
But it's something that I personally always had that sort, and it took me a long time to realize that not everybody's brain works exactly the same as mine. I've always had a creative brain that it thinks, you know, maybe it overthinks sometimes, and but those ideas are there, and you know, those of us that are lucky enough to be able to put that down on paper in a way that then puts your ideas in other people's minds. It's great. But no, I've never, you know, I always just wanted to write. And I'm now lucky enough to be able to do that for a living. Sadly, not through my own books. I do write my own stuff, but you know, I actually make more money writing books for other people. But you know, I'm still writing using the creative part of my brain. So it's something. At least I'm actually. But yeah, it's not about that. And I think I saw that. I did see that thread. And pretty much everybody said the same. Look, if you're just doing it to make money, mate, then back up something else, because that's not. But then again, you know, we all have that. Some vocalize it on social media. Others are just sitting brood at home and think, I don't want to do this no more. I just no, I can't. I'm not doing it. And then the next day, you hit the keyboard, it starts flowing, and it's the best thing on the planet.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask Craig. I mean, you know, before we obviously before we get to follow him, you know, as a fellow filmmaker, he said, not really. You know, I've made a few short movies. But what do you prefer? Do you prefer writing or do you prefer filmmaking?
It's really tough, actually. I do love film. So at first I loved writing, and then I sort of moved into film, and that's what I went to school for. And now I've sort of moved back into writing. And it's hard to say which one I love more. They're actually very different. But honestly, I do think that now I would have to lean towards writing more than filmmaking. Filmmaking is just it's an incredibly frustrating process. I think that I'm pretty sure it was Mel Brooks who said it, where he was like, when you make a film, it dies so many times before you get to see it live. Like you write it and then it's alive, and then you try to film it and you have to make a bunch of, you know, we can't really get this shot, we have to cut this scene, etc., and then it dies. You know, and then like cutting it together, it's this constant process of bringing it to life and seeing it die, and bringing it to life and seeing it die, and it's kind of arduous. But at the end of it, actually, I just went to a little film festival where one of my movies was playing, a short film, and you know, the audience was laughing and screaming, and it was so much fun. And that's the only part where I'm like, oh yeah, film is so incredible for that. Whereas books, it's nice for writing because it's just you can do absolutely whatever you want, but then you don't get that. You can't hear the audience, you know, gasp or scream. You know, you can hear the reaction afterwards, after it's like filtered, but you don't get that immediate kind of reaction to it, which is amazing. Which, I mean, I think film, a lot of it for me is also the music that is added to it. Like I love music. And that's a huge element that's missing for me from writing, from novels. So, yeah, it's complicated.
No, you're right. I mean, music can make or break a film. Definitely. Yeah. You know, think of some of the best films, and like you say, they have the best music. I do like Reservoir Dogs. It's a great film. I think the soundtrack was just perfect, you know, just absolutely perfect for the film, and that made it for me.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
And yet you see some. It's funny. I've been watching or trying to watch some of the old movies I used to enjoy watching in the 80s, which was before Craig was born, obviously. And yeah, there was a big horror movie, probably because it was cheap to do. There's a lot of the synthesizer music. Overbearing synthesizer. There's a couple of films I can't watch it. The music is just grating on me. It's horrible. And just this horrible, overbearing background. Yeah, for fuck's sake, switch it off. You know. That was the 80s. That was
right.
Yeah. What a great time for movies.
I'll confess, I actually do have such a sympathy, or I just love synth scores, like as like kind of dated as they are now. I adore them. I think they're so fun. There's something about them. Like one of my favorite scores is the score to Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street, and that thing is totally synth. And I think Charles Bernstein, and but he just what he does with it. But it's really all these weird beeps and strange, like, you know, just one guy on his keyboard. I just love that.
Well, I think, you know, it's funny enough, one of the most effective film scores for me was John Carpenter's Thing, and obviously Carpenter scored it himself as well. And it's just such a minimalist sound, but it builds the tension so well. I mean, it's just like, wow, it just gets you from the off, just that beat, you know. And it's I think Hellraiser is another good one with a great score. And apparently there was a full score written. I think you might be able to get hold of it some places, but Clive Barker just scrapped it. I think I don't know who wrote the score that actually ended the film, but the original score was actually scrapped.
Oh, interesting! I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was again, it's minimalist, and you know, the bells and the tension. It's just all just perfect.
Yeah. Do you ever use music while you're writing?
I do not. I'm so easily distracted. If I had music on, I would end up concentrating on that. Now I need silence to write, unfortunately. Yeah. How about you? I mean, do you have favorite music you listen to?
Oh yeah. I make large playlists for every project I'm doing, and then I write a bit of music. Not that I don't know much about music, but I know enough that I've been able to score a few of my movies. So I actually write scores to my novels as well, and I found it's a really I'll write like a little piece, you know, like a 4-minute piece for a certain character or for a certain theme, and then, you know, when you're writing and you also have like a day job, you're always getting pulled away from the work. And then to get my brain back into business, you know, it's a I found it a very useful tool, right? You just pop in the track, and then all of a sudden it's, that's the feeling that's where I was, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. You know, when I can't really say that I write often anymore because I'm busy, but I used to as well. You know, write some music. The louder the better for some reason, and because once you get in that zone and you're there, you know, you don't even hear anything around you. 3 or 4 songs later, you're like, oh, you know, the music's playing. And I always thought that was a pretty cool thing when it happens. Now, I also, you know, I write poetry, which is what I'm pretty much known for. And for that, silence. I have to have, you know, complete silence for that. So it's 2 different things.
Yeah, well, because poetry has you don't want the rhythm of the music to like influence the rhythm of the poem, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, so it's different, but I do love music, and you know, I can even be inspired to write a poem from a song, and I love music, and those, you know, I used to I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but I used to read like, you know, romance or like, you know, stuff in the genre, and occasionally the author would have a playlist, you know, that they had listened to, and they would include it in the book, and to me that was so cool. You know, I would go and I'd look up each of the songs, and So
Yeah.
I think that's great, and I think that'd be cool too if I'm reading one of your books, that'd be awesome to know what songs inspired you, or what songs that were you were playing while you were in that world. So that might be a cool thing to include as author's playlist. I would look at it. Yeah, definitely.
Actually, for Follow Him, I did have originally in the manuscript I had titles of each of because it's a lot about love and the kind of destructive nature of it, and so I wanted to kind of like attack classic love songs. So I put in the title for like each of the 4 acts of it, the title of each love song that kind of or quotes, lines from each love song that sort of inspired that little bit. But then it became sort of a rights issue, and I was worried. I just got nervous about, trying to figure out how to, get the rights to the song "I Will Follow Him." Right, like that's who knows where those rights exist or who would come knocking. So, unfortunately, I couldn't include it. But
now, speaking of Follow Him, we definitely want to hear the excerpt that you brought to share with us, and I'm anxious to hear it because I did read this one, which there's so many times we have an author on the show from Hellbound, and I feel so ashamed that I did not read the book. So I'm excited that I read this one. Yay!
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thanks for reading it.
Yeah. So do you have a reading for us?
Yeah. Shall I begin now?
Sure. If you need to set it up, go for it.
Yeah. So this excerpt is from the beginning of chapter 4. The morning sun found the field under Mother's Rest littered with bodies. The fire had long since burnt itself out, and the slumbering dregs, having suffered a similar fate, were scattered amongst empty bottles and discarded clothes around its ashes. Though the celebrations had been fierce and wild, swelling to almost orgiastic heights, Jacob had remained unaffected. He had fallen asleep listening to a much different sound, one that had brought forth nightmares so vast they remained with him even after he awoke. There had been laughter in the dark, and music, and lustful cries, but, hidden underneath all that, somewhere deeper, there was also screaming. Or, maybe it was squealing, like a knowing pig in a slaughterhouse. Yes, what he had heard last night was a slaughter. He got up from his patch of grass, dusted off the clinging blades from his back and buttocks, then searched for his clothes. Once dressed, Jacob found himself not heading toward his fellow dregs at Mother's Rest, but rather toward the sanctuary. He was sure the screams had come from that modest barn, the one held together by crumbling wood and rusted nails. Really, it looked more like an overgrown shack than a barn. Yet that humble building, planted between 2 old birch trees, contained such impossible wonder, Jacob viewed it as more of an ancient pyramid. And last night, while the other dregs sang and drank, he alone had heard the echoes rising up from its secret catacombs. He still heard them. When he was within a few feet of the sanctuary's entrance, he paused. There was blood on the door, a wet handprint that dripped crimson all the way down into the grass. The print had 4 fingers, a thumb, and a palm. In other words, it was human. No one goes in the sanctuary without the collector's blessing. That's the law, and you don't break the law, but who would know? Jacob pressed his ear against the door. All he heard was the thumping of his own blood. Suddenly, his stomach tingled the way it does right before you're caught playing hide-and-seek, right before the closet door whips open and a faceless shadow yells, "Gotcha!" Instinctively, he looked up into the sky as if expecting to find the eyes that watched him, or, perhaps, Susan hanging there from the branch of one of the birch trees, her porcelain features smashed like the doll she was. There was no Susan, and there was no Lord looming down from the clouds above. At least, that's what his eyes kept telling him. The tingling in his stomach knew differently, just as it had the night before. I'll be quick. I'll just open it, see there's nothing there, and then I'll go. and I'll join the others and find Susan this afternoon practicing in the choir. A single red robin chirped, then fluttered out from under the roof of the sanctuary as Jacob pulled the sliding door open. The bird rose into the air and out of Jacob's sight, which was locked on what stood just beyond the threshold. By now, the robin had breached the clouds for all he knew. He, on the other hand, was fixed firmly on the ground, staring a sobering reality squarely in the face. He didn't want to look. He had to. The pews had been moved aside to make room for a large wood slab of a table, a butcher's chopping block. It was stained red, complete with scars from the hacking and cutting of whatever thing was unlucky enough to find itself strapped to its surface. When he had lain there in the grass, listening to the screams coming from the dark, he had feared what the light of day would reveal. He heard the voice crack, then break completely, as if it had reached the limits of the pain it could express. When dawn breaks, will I even recognize her? He had wondered. Of all the hideous scenarios that sliced through his mind, he had not imagined her reduced to a cut of meat. The table had been placed so the burnt mural of the beast loomed above its head, presumably making it the last thing the victim would ever see. This inanimate etching, staring hungrily in some uncanny way.
You can't stop there.
I was enjoying that. Awesome. Beautifully read.
So
next week.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice. It's good.
Yeah, and I hate that we're going to have to, break, and we're done with our first segment. I'm so sorry. Craig, you have to tell us where we... I know. I have to get him back on. He can read more.
Don't leave it. Don't leave it like 2.5 years next time.
Right? Yeah, for sure. I promise.
I know.
This was really fun. I shouldn't have. Yeah.
But Craig, let us tell us where we can find you online.
You can visit. You can visit my website at everythingcraigstewart.com, or there's also a Facebook page, and I'm also on Twitter at the Craig Stewart. So find me there.
Okay, great. I will get your links put up on our Facebook page. If anybody wants to stalk you, they can go there and do it. And again,
Wonderful.
Thank you for coming on the show, and I can't wait to have you back. Everybody go out and follow him. And we'll
it's been an absolute pleasure, sir. Absolute pleasure. Finally get to speak to you.
For sure. Yeah, it was great. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. You have a great rest of your evening.
You too. Bye.
Okay, we'll speak to you soon. Okay, and we will be back to these here messages.
Room Radio Show is sponsored by Hellbound Books, purveyors of all manner of dark fiction. You can find the publisher along with links to all their available works across platforms at hellboundbookspublishing.com. Hellbound Books is proud to be the first in the indie publishing business with a very own app on both Google Play and the App Store. In the mood for something steamy to read, check out new erotica author Jennifer Lynn's website at jenniferlynnerotica.com. You can find James at his website, www.jameslongmore.com, and Xtina has an author page found on the Hellbound website. Don't forget to follow the Panic Room Radio Show on social media. Our Facebook page, unofficial The Panic Room Radio Show, Twitter at Panic Room Radio, our YouTube channel, The New Panic Room Radio Show, and come visit our website at www.panicroomradio.com.
Such a whore, so self-aware, so full of shit, so indecisive, so adamant. I'll contemplate and thinking about thinking. It's overrated.
Da-da! Welcome back to part 2.
Well, we's back. We's back. Are you there, Xtina? You managed to get my daughter tucked up in bed, retop my drink up, and have a big old wee, which was great.
I just sat here, singing to that song. I will say that
I do play it a fair bit because I know you like it.
I do. It's and just for future reference, it's a perfect song to turn up really, really loud and like sing at the top of your lungs in the shower. It's a really good one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Robbie is good for that. Good shower singing. Yeah. Good shower singing. Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know if you've been following. I know you never follow the news. The Jeffrey Epstein saga has sort of caught up with the British royal family. Prince Andrew, who is the Queen's middle son. So he's got 3. Middle son. He's been sacked by the Queen. But not, he's the family. I mean, he's not been sacked from the family. He's been pulled from all his royal duties. He's using his £270,000 a year salary doing the royal duties and everything. And because he did a TV interview at the weekend, which was supposed to be his name, and because he's been accused of getting involved in, shall we call them, Jeffrey Epstein, who in turn was being investigated for trafficking underage girls. Now the thing is, I mean, the main accuser, Prince Andrew, main accuser, and it's funny. He's claiming to never have met her. There's a picture of him with his arm around her. It's like, no, you did meet her. It's funny because her name's Virginia Roberts. Epstein's island where he used to, Prince Andrew allegedly did some of these deeds is in the Virgin Islands. I mean, the answer's in the question there, really. But he was just, absolutely shot himself in the foot with the thing. But apparently he's now going to be facing police investigations and all. It's a big scandal. I mean, big thing for the royal family. I don't think any royal, certainly in my lifetime, and probably even well beyond that, any member of the royal family has been relieved of their royal duties quite so.
Wow.
Probably not since the abdication back in, when was that? I'm gonna have to look it up. In 1950 something. I'm gonna look it up on air. I'm gonna find out when that was, because it was Prince. I used to know this. I should know this. This is my heritage. Abdication. I'm looking it up. This is live. Abdication. It was King Edward VIII. Yeah, and it was in 1936. And I was pretty close.
Wow.
Because then the current Queen's father took over, and then he died, and then obviously Queen Elizabeth took on the throne. But that's probably the last. He abdicated. He left, and it was all rather ironically because he fell in love with a divorcee. He wanted to marry a divorcee, and it was all very. And Prince Harry's just married Meghan Markle, who is divorced, and everybody's all delighted and jolly, and plus Prince Charles, who ultimately will be the next king, has married a divorcee as well, and he's divorced. It's just like, well, how times have changed. Times have changed. Yes. But, at the end of the day, trafficking and sex with minors is still, not a good thing. Although I have to say, and I could probably get shot down in flames with this. With Prince Andrew, again, in England, the age of consent is 16. So,
is it? Yeah.
When he slept with this girl in England, when she was 17, but it was legal. It was fine. She wasn't underage. I mean, she allegedly was still trafficked, as in however that works. But of course, as soon as he, dipped the royal wick, as it were, in the Virgin Islands and in the States, where although I only found out recently, I was having a conversation with my eldest actually, the age of consent in Texas is 17, not 18. So there's that. But but then there's the whole thing about the sex trafficking that, she said she was forced to sleep with him. It's all very grubby, I have to say. Yeah. It's all very unpleasant and grubby, and especially for it. Although, reading the English papers, nobody's that surprised that it's Prince Andrew. It's like, oh yeah, because he's always been known as being a bit of a, as we call it, a bit of a fanny wrap, which probably doesn't translate quite what it should. But he was always known for being, for ladies, and it's. But then again, look at the good old President Trump, Mr. Impeachment himself.
I knew you were going to go there.
Grabbing, sleeping with porn stars and prostitutes while his wife's in hospital having had his son. Blah, and the man's moral fibre is just not. I think I have no morals. He just takes it to the extreme. Although if I had his money, I would be as immoral, to be honest. Probably. Although, I don't know. I was brought up to certainly respect women.
Yeah,
the things he does, I never bring myself. No. Yeah. I just. But then again, he has that air of privilege about him that again a lot of narcissists do. That he thinks he's got the money, he thinks he can just get away with it, and hopefully it's all going to come crashing down around his little fat ears.
And I think the age plays a part in it. As you get older, I think you start to just be, you start to just kind of, whatever. You almost feel entitled to say and do what you want. At least that's what I've seen from the older people. It is a
trait amongst the rich and the privileged. Yeah, I mean, Prince Andrew have a similar sort of mindset. Apparently he was known as being arrogant and boorish and treats his staff like shit, and I just think because I'm a prince, I'm rich, although there's questions now being asked. He lived a billionaire lifestyle, but his income just didn't match the lifestyle. He got $270,000 from the civil list. He got his Air Force pension at 20 grand, so about $300,000 a year. Well, whilst it's not, I would happily have that, but the lifestyle of private jets and travel and everything just don't match it, so there's now questions being asked about who was him. I'm sorry, I'm boring myself now. Anyway, it's been a tiring week, I have to say. Anyway, we do have a caller. I'm dying to know who it is, so I'm going to press this button here. And hello, who's this?
How are you guys? My name is Rome. How you guys doing today?
We are good. If you wanted to speak, Craig, I'm afraid he's gone now. But you've been holding on. How can I help you, sir?
Well, I had an objective in mind, but I had to respond to everything you just said listening. You threw me off text so much, and I found it so interesting. So I had to respond to that. But what I called for, though, I've seen you guys on the horror concept and the writing, and I never called in before, and I'm a writer. And I called in to hopefully share a poetry piece. Like I do poetry, I do rap, and I wanted to share a piece with you guys in a horror concept. That was my purpose. I had to call in.
That would be as long as it's not too long. We can do that. I would love to do that.
No, it's not too long, but you engaged me so much with everything you were saying. I was like,
that's great. No, we would have you ready to go?
To say the piece or to respond to everything you were saying? Which...
No, I want to hear the poem. I want to hear the poetry.
All right, yeah, I'm ready to go. The piece is called Nightmares.
Oh, go for it.
All right, here we go. I'm going to be as honest as lies allow, as high as my lows have been. A shadow where lies are shrouds to cover the cries aloud, and combat to hide the sounds to suffer with silence bound. In the slumbers that aimed and found, uncovered and shaken, drowned in the chambers, cloud of visions through the changes. Underwent by waters building puddles in the flustered blinks of irises arrangements. Guarded in attempts to puddle punishment and hatred. Drip slate clustered in the pavement like a funnel skip towards trouble from a study to the basement. It follows, echoes hollow, bounce from bricks adjacent through the tunnels, make it hard to place it. Where it came, where it may went. Overall, the spins of cycles to the corridors and hoarded halls. Respect to dead men, picture perfect, hang recurrent on the walls. As wind gusts curtains withdraw curtains from a stall. Whiplash dust that falls as certain as the fog and settles nightly as the night forgets me. Fright resents my falls, I react to races, my calls, and shake off what I lost, retrace my all. In sudden disbelief, I found my distance out of sense to reach. Lenient perspectives breaches furthermore than disbelief. Still lost, unlured, insistent, beat by burden. Holding grips to keep my sake from pushing forward. To dismiss the weak or broken, strong unknown being spit to speech. To keep a victim stocked like home is what the victors teach. Unspoken is forbidden speech and heard, but when we listen, screams lift those from giving sleep become awoken. And I hope to only get to reach who twists the key to get them open. Only to be beaten back to comas in a moment. We relive to one day dream, to live for all we live to dream. Nightmares. And peace.
Wow.
Brilliant. I like that.
Great.
I like that.
Thank you.
You could set that. You could set that to music. That had a great rhythm to it and a great message as well. I enjoyed that. I mean, we should get you on to poems.
Yeah. You should definitely call in some other time and recite some poetry for us. We'd love that.
Yeah, feel free to share it with us. Do you write mostly poetry, or do you write whatever comes in your head?
In general, yeah, I'm just a writer, you know. If you wanted to label it, you can say like I rap and I do poetry, but in general, for me, it's just writing, expressing, and venting. There's an overall purpose, and that's what I do, you know.
No, fantastic. That's right. It's one of those things when you've got to write, and it comes out. Although, you know, if you to listen to, you know, poetry, I take my hat off to anyone who can write poetry because I can't. So it's not my forte as Xtina.
Well, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I've written one poem because she bumped me into it. I wrote one, and that's it.
Well, you can write more if you wanted to, because it's all based off. It's just being honest with yourself.
Brilliant. I must try it again, but I need the inspiration. Well, look, we're going to have to say bye-bye. Thank you so much for joining us to bring on.
If you don't mind, may I respond to all you had said before?
Well, we do need to bring our next guest, unfortunately, because we're running a bit short on time. Would you like to call in next week?
Sure. I could try to catch you.
You give a ring next week, and we can discuss this things that you want to talk about. Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Okay, thank you. We should look forward to chatting to you again. Thank you. Okay. Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Awesome. I enjoyed that. I very impromptu, but what a talent. What an absolute talent. But, unfortunately, we poor old Michaela's been she's holding on. So you get her introduced, Xtina, quickly.
Definitely. Hellbound author, which I love. I'm so excited to do that. Horror author Michaela L. Kane. Woo!
Yay! Hello.
Yeah. Hi. How are you?
I'm sorry. So sorry to keep. But we had the great bit of impromptu, totally unrehearsed. Brilliant. I love that. And Yeah, Xtina was saying we could have been beatboxing. So that was the rhythm was fantastic. But, obviously you can't do it. But maybe she should. Maybe, for next week's show, or for the week after, Xtina's going to beatbox live on the show.
Yeah.
So, Michaela, thank you for joining. Is this your first time on the show?
It is. I'm glad to be here.
It is wonderful to finally get to. I feel I've spoken before. I think we actually had a telephone conversation. I think we tried one. I think we tried a telephone conversation, didn't we? And it just didn't happen.
I think we did. We were going back and forth about cover art. And the signal was kind of cutting in and out, and we finally gave up and started texting a bunch, and that kind of went up and down too.
I remember. Well, nice to finally get to chat to you, and you're here to talk to us about spells in waiting and spells in therapy, which is part of a trilogy, I believe. Hopefully, you're working hard on the third part. Otherwise, it's not a trilogy. Good. So, hey, tell us more about it. But sorry, Ben.
Well, the books they're about some witches, especially one witch and a couple of government agents, and they kind of grew out of nothing, honestly. I was just kind of fooling around with some short stories, and I posted a story about a couple on a website, on an erotic website, and all of a sudden I was getting these messages in my inbox telling me to keep going. And I wrote a few more chapters, and I was just getting more and more emails, and this was an erotic website, and the first couple of chapters, that was what it was. But I got to a point where I was like, well, if I'm living with these characters this much, I'm starting to get this giant story in my head. And of course, then that grew into a novel, and then by the end of that novel, it was very clear that it wasn't one novel; it was 3.
Wow.
Awesome.
But the people who, every once in a while it's really strange. Like once every 4 or 5 months, I'll still get a message from that website. And of course, the stories have long since been taken down because I took them down and I refinished them and added and everything else. But every once in a while, maybe every 3 or 4 months, I'll still get an email saying, "Weren't you the person who wrote those stories? Why'd you take them down? Can you put them back up?"
And then you steer them through the Amazon.
Yeah.
You say, you can buy them right here.
I know. It's really strange, and even looking back, they kind of came out of nowhere.
That's awesome, though. And I must say, with having read both Spells in Waiting and Spells in Therapy,
thank you.
Woo, they are hot.
Steamy.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
I'm hoping that our excerpt has some steam in it, but if not, we'll definitely have to get you back to read some steamy parts for it.
It doesn't quite get there. I kind of went back and forth between do I go for the horror? Do I go for the steam? Do I go for kind of something that'll more tease the story? And I finally picked out something from the very beginning. I think part of the funny thing is that, I'd written a couple of books, full books before I wrote this, and I'd sort of kept them, I don't know, maybe PG-13 rated. And I have a feeling that everything I didn't write in those early books spilled into the characters of these books.
Nice. Yeah, and what is cool is that you've really pretty much combined my 2 favorite genres there, which is awesome, I think, because it's just not and I've tried to read just a basic fiction book, not a what I mean, just the story, and I find myself waiting for somebody to do the nasty or somebody to kill somebody, and so you gotta I know, right? It's like, what is the sense? What's going on here? You're just writing about everyday things, and I want a little bit of excitement and naughty parts. So this book has these 2 books they have all of that, and
yeah, they do. I really like pulling together all different things, like horror and suspense and erotica and romance, and just pulling it all together and just exploring the characters and what happens in a world like that.
Now, with witches, that's you know, you got a little paranormal stuff going on there too. Is that something? I mean, when you continue to write, would it be like paranormal? Will it have, you know, paranormal in it, or was this just
yeah?
You know,
I think so. I've got there's one idea I'm tossing around that's more just straight suspense. I don't think there's going to be anything in it that wouldn't happen in the world we kind of already know and that drives us crazy already. But everything else that comes into my brain is there's some element of speculation to it. If it's either horror, dark fantasy. I've got one that I'm kind of playing with where they can read memories.
Oh wow!
So it's more sci-fi. But at the same time, I love science fiction and fantasy and horror, but my eyes kind of glaze over when I read hard sci-fi with all the technical details.
Yes.
I can't do it. So
yeah.
I will never go in that direction. But most of what I write has something of the paranormal or supernatural in it.
Awesome. Now, the excerpt that you brought to read for us, it's from the book one, Spells in Waiting, right?
Yes. This is from Spells in Waiting, and it's from the very beginning. Do you want me to go ahead and set up and read?
Definitely. It's all yours.
Okay. So for anyone listening who hasn't read the book opens with a witch who's in her 20s and is tied up in a chair in what amounts to an kind of blank interrogation room. And she's been picked up by a couple of government agents who are trying to find her mother, who's gone on a killing spree, and they haven't been able to find her in any other way. So they've finally given up and picked up her daughter, hoping that her daughter can lead them. So this comes from, I mean, it's not page one, but it's really early in the book. Okay. So here we go. Lauren held her breath as the two men left the doorway, stalking in separate directions. Their conversation today, this morning, this afternoon, tonight, had felt different, like more was at stake, and she felt glad to see them go. They wouldn't be gone long. They hadn't bothered to shut the door behind them, and that could only mean that at least one of them would be back sooner than later. She wasn't sure what that could mean, given that they'd just taken her on a bathroom break just before this last conversation. Watching the door and the hallway beyond it, Lauren shifted her shoulders, lifting herself slightly and trying to relieve the burning pain that the underwire in her bra was causing. There wasn't anything to be done about it, but after a week of wearing it, and with ropes tying her to the chair and pushing it into her further, it seemed like it hurt more with every passing hour. More and more, though, she was trying not to show any discomfort when either of the men were around. She needed them to give up and just let her go, or find her mom in some other way. That would be fine, too, at this point. And then she was sure they'd let her go. They had to, right? With the prospect of at least one of them returning, however, she found herself steeling herself yet again for whatever might be coming next. It was safer when they were both around, when it wasn't just David and his backhand. But then again, it was Josh's guilt tripping that had actually been tearing her up more. Maybe it was the classic good cop, bad cop routine, but it was getting to her. She wasn't to blame for her mother's horrors, but Josh Devlin was good at making her feel like she was. And, who knew, she wondered. Now that these men were involved and available to put an end to the violence, maybe she was partly to blame, just for not saying anything. Every time she closed her eyes now, she could picture the family members Josh had described to her. The kids who'd lost their fathers to her mom, the women who'd lost their husbands. At first, she'd been thankful that the men didn't show her pictures of the families. But anymore, it didn't seem to matter. She'd imagined them clearly over and over again, and everything from their family vacations to their spelling tests filled through her imagination when she let her guard down. Her mother had taken away good fathers from families that had been picture perfect, destroying families so that their misery would match hers, if in a different fashion. And Lauren could have told the agents how to find her mom after all, but her mom wouldn't stand a chance, Lauren reminded herself. tugging experimentally on the ropes around her ankles and letting her wrists rest for a moment. And these men wouldn't have any reason to let her go if she did tell them anyway. So what was the point? They'd have her cold on obstructing their investigation, and maybe she wouldn't be in as much trouble as her mom was, but she'd still end up in jail. Plus, her mom was her mom. With this crazed dementia, this single-minded focus that had recently taken hold of her, pushing her to kill without restraint, Lauren wasn't sure that her mom would notice the agents and fight back, given that they weren't old enough to be her prey. She was only going for men in their 50s, not that that narrowed down the field of prey all that much. So maybe Lauren was fighting back for nothing, not speaking, with nothing to gain. But, horrible or not, the woman was her mother, and she was Lauren's only bit of family. With this thought, Lauren took another deep breath and began twisting her wrists once again against the ropes binding them to the chair. It seemed like they were tighter each time David tied them, but at least she had some hope. They weren't the cuffs that Josh had insisted on putting aside once her wrists had started forming real cuts from the metal. Now they hurt like hell, but ropes could fray, and she did have the protection of her sweater sleeves. As if David Fredericks cared, she thought to herself, twisting at her bonds all the harder. Still, she'd take his lack of concern over Josh's reasoning any day of the week. She was trying to lick around the foul-tasting gag at her cracked lips when Josh came back in, carrying another beaker of the blue goop they'd been forcing down her throat. The first 4 days there had brought 2 doses each day. Now they were down to 1 per day. Of course, she realized upon seeing it in his hand, that's why they hadn't closed the door. Didn't they know her powers had long since been tamped down to nothing by the stuff? What was the point in continuing with it so steadily? Already the stickiness of it trailed down her chest from her chin into the V of her sweater and lower. The wetted paper towels in the bathroom hadn't done much good without her being able to change clothes or take a real shower. By now, she couldn't escape the chemical smell of it, and it burned in her stomach once she swallowed it each day. But she'd stopped fighting it. Better the burning in her insides than the stinging stickiness that had stayed on her chin and her throat for hours after it had spilled on her skin while Josh forced it into her. So, today she let Josh pry her lips apart from the gag again and stick the end of the glass beaker between her lips, and she let him tilt her head back, and she swallowed when he poured it into her in 2 separate, choking doses. But she kept her eyes on him the whole time, accusing and angry. She could cooperate without being broken by it. Sorry, Josh said without any irony, having tilted her head back for a 3rd time to make sure she got the last of her concoction. If the agency was right, her powers wouldn't just be weakened after another few days went by. They'd be gone. He didn't feel guilty about that, though he felt a twinge of guilt over the fact that they'd told her it was temporary. They at least could have let her know that she had something to fight for in trying to keep it out of her system. He might not have been fighting either if put in her place, if he'd thought the effects were short-lived. She's a witch, you ass, Josh reminded himself with annoyance as he tucked the glass beaker into a pocket and double-checked that all of her bonds were still intact. Stop feeling sorry for her. She'd managed to loosen the rope around her left ankle, so he redoubled the bond and tightened the knot before he stood, ignoring the annoyed groan she let out in response. And maybe David was right, he had to think, because that groan she'd let out had only been annoyed, not nearly desperate. She thought she was safe enough with them, it seemed. And the last time he talked to her, that morning, it had almost seemed like she was relieved somehow. David had said she'd seemed nice at the bar, and truth be told, he thought she probably was nice, and just had the wrong mother and the bad luck to be a witch. Maybe their bringing her in for questioning had let her off the hook of trying to stop her mom herself. It wasn't the first time the thought had occurred to him, but it didn't change anything. When he left, he didn't close the door behind him, knowing his partner would be coming by for her soon enough. By then, he planned on being at the opposite end of the large ranch house. He didn't want to know any more than he had to about what came next.
You're going to leave it there? You're done now?
I am. Well, I mean, if I kept going, there'd be no good spot to stop for about 20 minutes. So there you go.
Well, we will get you on for the whole show next time. You can just read the whole book.
Yes.
That would be great.
Yes.
That'll be great.
I might need a couple of glasses of wine to get over the blush in my cheeks from reading all the naughty bits, but I can try.
Not a problem. We can supply. Xtina has a wealth of wine. Probably.
I do.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. So, yeah. I know. I because I do know what comes next. I was, waiting. So, but you're right.
Well, I have to tell you, so I was listening to Craig speak earlier, and all the fascinating talk about religion coming into horror. And so I have to tell you something about the second book, if we just have a second more of time.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure, go ahead.
The main setting in the second book is sort of retreat that people are disappearing into. And the inspiration came from a seminary where my husband and I had to go in order to get married in the church we wanted to go. We had to do this marriage retreat at the seminary. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So of course, I turned around and turned this very religious seminary, which is on the banks of a gorgeous river, into the setting for a horror novel. And I'm really,
it did cultish vibe. Yeah. No, it gave me a real cultish vibe. It's always been really fascinating to me. The creepy cults. So, yeah, you did that well.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I'm really tempted to send them both books, although they'd probably burn them and then try to find a way to dissolve our marriage. But
wow.
it was a great it was a weird, you hear people talk about how authors take their enemies and put them in their books and torture them. But this was literally me just taking the place and putting it into the book and turning it into something very different. It was a lot of fun.
It's awesome where we get inspiration from. It comes in all shapes and forms and.
Well, it's like I said earlier. We get to know people, and that's fantastic. It's a great way of not actually doing it and ended up on death row. So I like that.
Definitely. Well, I
enjoy that.
I hate to say this, Michaela, but we have to say goodbye to you for now. But
I know.
Are you busy working on book 3, or is it done, or is it close to be done?
I am. Well, it is completely done in my head. I will say that.
Nice.
In terms of the writing, it's nowhere near done, but I am hard at work on it.
Okay. Well,
excellent.
You still have a whole other book to come back for, so I'll have to talk with you and get you booked on again so we can have more time with you, because I want to get to the steamy parts. So we definitely have to do that.
She's a sucker for a bit of steam. Just love a bit of steam.
I'll plan on that next time. And I hate to tell you, but there's even a spin-off trilogy taking shape in my head already. I'm trying to just keep it off in the background, but I think it's coming.
One step at a time.
Yes, exactly. That's where people get tied up. You have to just do one book at a time.
Just seriously, one word at a time. I mean, it's
Well, and one word.
That's the way. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to finally get to speak to you, and the connection was good, so that was nice. And tell us quickly where we can find you.
So anybody can find me on Twitter and Facebook both. It's pretty simple. It's twitter.com/Michaela L. Kane and facebook.com/Michaela L. Kane. And Michaela is Michaela.
Fantastic. So everybody listening, buy the book for it. It is steamy. It is, if you like a bit of steam. Steaming. I mean, to be fair, steaming witches. What? It's not to love.
Exactly.
So I'm afraid it is. Time has beaten us once again. It's that time of the evening we have to say goodnight, Xtina.
Good night, Xtina.
Realize what they say. will come around again. You may think it's for real, but you know how you feel. The places that I go don't feel good anymore. I see it all, rainbows and fall. I see her face upon my wall, but it's only make-believe. Fly away, bluebird, fly away for me to a place somewhere far across the sea. Fly away.